Max, when you get a performance and a result like that from the whole team on Saturday, are you one that sort of dwells on it, or are you quite good at putting that behind you?
I think you've obviously got to look at it and try and learn from what happened, but yeah, there's no time to dwell on anything. We've got a game on Saturday coming up, so yeah, it's a chance to put things right.
Yeah. And have you got better at that effectively as you've sort of experienced professional football and gone through that side of things? Because I'd imagine it's an easy thing to say, it's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah. It's there's a lot of games in the league, so what are we 5 games in, and yeah, plenty to go. They come thick and fast. Obviously, at the moment it's a bit different because it's week to week more. So you've got that time on the training pitch to try and put things right as well.
From where you are, your position on the pitch, that first half in particular, it was so frustrating. I could see players being frustrated that things weren't quite clicking. You get that view, and obviously you're focused on the game. But can you kind of tell early on that it's not quite there?
No, I think you're going to get phases of games like that, and it's just how you obviously respond to that and try and only make them little phases in games, whether that's a couple of minutes, but trying to have those periods of matches where it doesn't happen as often.
And obviously the first goal is not going to be one that you would want to watch back, but having seen it, do you sort of understand what happened there?
Yeah, no, of course. You got to watch it back, and there's things that you got to do that you don't like sometimes. So yeah, no, it's one we've looked at, and we'll move on, and yeah, we spoke about it. So yeah, there's things to work on. So yeah, we're doing that.
And you get it in the neck as a goalkeeper, because that's what happens with keepers sometimes. But quite often it's not as simple as you just passing the ball to them. There are other factors involved in that. Is that a discussion that you have to have as a team in terms of like, right, well, I've done this because of that?
Yeah, there's always going to be reasons why you do things. So yeah, it's the last line of defence. So anyone who makes a mistake or anything slips, then yeah, ultimately you get punished. And in this league, it's the finest of margins, and yeah, that happened.
Yeah, and you know, goalkeepers make mistakes, but you do seem to be pretty good at picking yourself up and getting on with it.
No, yeah, I tried to stay level-headed, and obviously you're disappointed, but you can't let that get to you, because ultimately you're going to get called upon at some point again. So yeah, just try and put that in the back of your mind and revisit it when the time's right. So that's what I feel like I've done.
And you go back a decade or so, you know, goalkeepers more often than not were getting the ball and it's up over the halfway line for the striker to flick on, isn't it? Is that just something you have to accept now as a goalkeeper, that at some point, being asked to do what you're going to do, you're going to be in that situation again?
Yeah, you don't want it to happen, so you're not doing it knowing that it's going to happen at some point, but ultimately it does, and yeah, you get punished. But yeah, we train and work on these things every day, so people make mistakes, and it's just how we bounce back, and individually and as a team.
Yeah. And you talk about bouncing back as a team. The second half at Derby, Saturday at Blackburn, are not at the standards that you've shown you can reach this season. It is important that, particularly in front of the home fans, you try and get back to what you have been producing.
Of course, yeah. I thought we started pretty well, to be honest. The first 3 games were pretty good. Even the first half at Derby, we played pretty well. It's just those 3 periods of games really which have made it feel like probably it's a bad run that you've gone on, but ultimately it's back-to-back games, and yeah, we've got to try and flick the switch and bring a performance back home, and yeah, show everyone what we're about.
And we hear quite often from sort of managers talking about we're doing well on the training ground, all those kind of things. Is it just as simple as starting the game right, about having that first good touch, good pass, whatever your position on the pitch is, just doing something well, and then all of a sudden you lift yourself?
Yeah, you want to get in credit early on in the game, and yeah, the earlier you can do it, the better. So yeah, you're right. You can do as much as you want on the training ground, but ultimately it's the Saturday, Tuesday, Wednesday, for Sunday, whenever it is, out on the match day, that you've got to put performance in.
Yeah. And with what happened in the summer and the arrivals, and you know, not spending loads of money, but a little bit of money, that does bring expectations, and that puts a little bit more pressure on the whole squad to go out there and do what you want to do.
Of course, yeah. I think wherever you are in the league, whatever club you are, however big or small or whatever you want to say about a club, when you recruit well and you bring players in, there's going to be expectations. So, we recruit well and the boys are still gelling. There's going to be time. I think the lad's not even been here more than a few weeks. So, it's going to take time, but we're happy with where we are.
And Oxford this weekend have had a pretty good start to life in the Championship, certainly at home. Their fans, I think they're bringing a lot with them. They will come expecting to try and give you a bloody nose.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, they've started well, and it's going to be a tough game. Obviously, we know what they're about. So, yeah, it should be a good one, and hopefully we can produce something good.
Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Max, you just mentioned there about the work in progress at the defence. How long should that sort of take? Because obviously Luke McNally made his debut on Saturday. How do you sort of assess is it sort of difficult as a goalkeeper when the defence in front of you is sort of chopping and changing a little bit?
Yeah, I think because we were so solid for the end of last year and it was quite the same personnel, so it's going to happen. There's going to be injuries and people are going to come in and out. So yeah, you just got to adapt and then have those relationships with everyone. So whoever steps on the pitch, you can get on with.
Is that because you made, like you just alluded to there, a very good solid start defensively to the season? Is that sort of difficult as a goalkeeper when, like I just mentioned there, Luke McNally came in and then Cal Naismith started the other day? How difficult is that to adjust as a goalkeeper?
Everyone's got different strengths and weaknesses. So, it's just knowing what that player is about, whoever's coming in and whoever you're playing with. So, I feel like I know the boys well and they know me. So, as long as you know what you're going to get out of each other, then you can at least be there to back each other up if it goes wrong, and you know where to be and in the right place for when it's going well.
Obviously, one of the strengths in this side is playing out from the back, but it also has those. It can also bring some weaknesses. We spoke to Liam Manning the other day, and he said that's how he likes to play football. Is that, as a goalkeeper, when you're asked to sort of play out the back, what's that sort of like? Is that sort of how you have to adjust to be sort of like the modern day goalkeeper, so to say?
Yeah, it's part and parcel of the game now. So I think most people probably from my age have grew up like you want to try and play, and that's how a lot of academies are taught to play now. So it's always going to be there. It can chop and change sometimes, obviously depending on who you're playing and who the manager is and things like that. So now I'm pretty comfortable doing it, and I know the boys in front of me are good enough to do it as well. So you can see bits of it in games when it comes off. Obviously it's great, but we just need to know when to revert to being safe, and obviously when we want to build.
So is that, when you say you want to be safe, is that sort of is that different types of games you'd use that? So
that might be just in game. It might be managing the game for 5 minutes, like we said earlier. You know, if you're not as in credit or that confidence dips a bit, but it's about managing the game and understanding where we want to be on the pitch. And you might not want to live too far, too close to your goal. Sorry. But it's just that game management, understanding, and trying to implement it.
While it's like Saturday, obviously we don't really want to reflect too much on sort of the mistakes, but then it also, when you do play that style of football, it can reap the rewards, can't it? Yeah,
of course. Yeah, we've already had a few chances this year. Scored some good goals as well. I think Fally's one probably started with the centre halves playing that. And if you just shell it in the channel, that might not happen. So it's the confidence to do it, and the practice, and knowing that we've got those reps in, and you've done it enough times that you know where someone's going to be. It might not always be there, so a bit off the cuff as well. You need to be imaginative and have that game sense as well. So you can see that the rewards come from it, and you do create chances.
You mentioned earlier just about how good you were defensively last year. Has it come a bit of a surprise to you then? Obviously, last year I think you only conceded 3 goals on 2 occasions in the league, and then in the first 5 games already this year, there's already been 3, although 1 was a win. What would you sort of put that down to at the moment?
It's a good question, to be honest. I think it wouldn't have happened 3 times if I knew that answer. So, yeah, it's obviously you don't want to be conceding loads of goals, but ultimately we know we haven't been good enough the last few games. So, yeah, it's just trying to turn that around and be solid and get a good performance and, more importantly, a result.
And how good would it be to sort of get a win at Ashton Gate on Saturday in front of the home fans, sort of show the fans sort of what this team is capable of?
Yeah, of course, yeah. We need a win, so you need points on the board, and whether it's in the first 6 games or the last 6, you need points on the board. So to get a win at home would be obviously great. They've followed us really well for the last few games as well. I know they probably would have felt a bit let down. So yeah, we owe them one, and hopefully we can give them that.
And then just on Oxford, they've obviously recruited well in the summer, and have made a strong start this season. How would you reflect on their start so far?
Yeah, I know they started well. I think they're up in that top half. So yeah, they got some good results, and yeah, it's going to be a tricky game, and they've got some good players. So it's ones to look out for, and yeah, hopefully we can do the job Saturday.